Welcome to Bourbon Beards and Belvederes. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Paul.
And Adam is out sick today, so we got two of us, but we have someone in his place here. But before we introduce him, I just want to talk about the Orlando Boutique Cigar Festival yesterday I went to. It was at the Feel Good Farms Winery and Vineyard, which is an awesome place. They got their own wines there, big field to hang out and drink, and we had a bunch of vendors there. Shout out to Honey Bee Cigars. She was one of them, the cigar vendors that helped put this thing on. And then our friends over at Haze Gray was there. And then shout out to all the TPA members that were out there. I got to meet a lot of you for the first time in person. Big shout out to Melinda with Poke Your Smoke. She does cigar pokers. So I was able to grab one from her. Kind of hard to see on the screen, but definitely be reaching out to at least get one more. I'll probably see if Adam wants one, and if you want one, Paul, reach out. And I could definitely reach out to her, and we could get a couple of them going. But yeah, great time, and shout out to everyone that was there yesterday. But let's get back to what we're here for. We got a special guest with us today from probably one of the most innovative distilleries out there right now. A brand that helped turn a 100-year distilling ban around, so they get distilling in their city, and they're known for their high malted bourbons and whiskeys. We have Tim from Chattanooga Whiskey. Thank you, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thank you guys. Great to be here.
So we have the 91, 111, the 99 rye, and then also the silver, which is a lightly aged whiskey. So we'll get those poured up and drink those throughout the night. But for anyone new to Chattanooga, can you tell us like how it all began? I know that's a long history with all that, but you could kind of cut it down a little bit if you need to.
Yeah. Well, it all started in 2011. So it was illegal to distill in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was illegal to distill in the majority of the 95 counties in the state of Tennessee. My co-founder and I discovered the history of whiskey in Chattanooga pre-Prohibition. So, more than 30 operating distilleries in downtown Chattanooga, less than 30,000 residents of Chattanooga from 1866 to 1915. And the goal was to revive it. And since it was 2011, we were, surprised to discover it, surprised no one was talking about it. I was really shocked that since Chattanooga already had started, was well into the brewing, the modern day brewing revitalization. I was surprised that with Tennessee and whiskey being synonymous worldwide, that Chattanooga, and arguably the best town in Tennessee, Chattanooga had not revived any distilling yet. And it turns out it was because of the law standing in its way, and that's why. And no one had really organized a successful rally cry to bring it back, which it proved to be harder than we thought it was going to be. But that also became a great part of our story because from 2011 till 2013, the Vote Whiskey campaign was our campaign to change a century-old prohibition on distilling that again existed in the majority of the 95 counties in Tennessee. So pretty big deal because not many legislators really knew much about it, and the ones that did know something about it were not motivated to change it because of their constituency. So So the Vote Whiskey campaign was really important because it galvanized, it gave the community really something to rally around, and that was, of course, the first thing came Chattanooga whiskey. It was Chattanooga whiskey 1816 Reserve and Chattanooga whiskey 1816 Cask. That's what we launched with. We also had a Chattanooga whiskey 1816 Native series that we did, which was a beer barrel finish series that we did. And we launched into Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, where we remained in those states only for 7 years. And we successfully launched with our bourbon made from MGP. It was Lawrenceburg Distillers of Indiana at the time. It was LDI in 2011, 2012. We bought 50 barrels and or 20 barrels, 20 barrels, and in 2011 we launched with those 20 barrels, making Chattanooga whiskey 1816 in April of 2012. It was a successful local launch, but we did have a lot of people asking why Chattanooga whiskey was made in Indiana. So that was kind of the beginning of needing a campaign so that we could answer the community's questions around that. And then, we started fighting laws. Simultaneously, MGP bought LDI. MGP was motivated to sell their inventory. They were planning on kicking little guys to the curb like us that couldn't afford to buy more barrels at the time, and so we had to raise some cash to buy a larger inventory of barrels, and that was a big part of our business. That was kind of like a big risk because no bank would loan us the money, so we had to get mezzanine debt from community friends essentially to secure 1,200 barrels. That was our first big buy from MGP, and that was the 75-21-4 recipe, which back then no one knew anything about, but now it tends to be a pretty popular recipe. And then kicked off the Vote Whiskey campaign because so many people were asking why it was made in Indiana. Started lobbying, and then we lobbied through the county, had a county vote. Then the Tennessee State Attorney General came in and said, you cannot change this law at the county level. It's got to be changed at state level. And so we formed House Bill 102 and Senate Bill 129, which we fought at the Capitol in Nashville. And fortunately, we were successful. And in May of 2013, House Bill 102 passed, making distilling legal, and not just Hamilton County, which is Chattanooga, but the majority of the 95 counties in the state of Tennessee. Then we became founding members of the Tennessee Distillers Guild, Tennessee Whiskey Trail, which was cool because it's a big impact on the state. And but that's not why we did it. We did it because we wanted to be the first legal distillery back in Chattanooga in 100 years. So we built the Chattanooga Whiskey Experimental Distillery, established it in March of 2015. Critically important, when we started building, well, actually, even before we started building the experimental distillery, we were trying to build a larger distillery because we went through a bigger capital round to build something larger. That was not not very successful because my co-founder and I split during that time. But I fortunately was introduced to Grant McCracken, who at the time was the head brewer and head of research and development for Boston Beer, which many people may or may not know, that's also Sam Adams. So Grant was up in Boston, being the head of R&D. He was obviously an amazing brewer, but also just passionate about innovation as well. And so when he came down to Chattanooga, instead of building something larger, we built something smaller. The whole goal was to get our feet planted and make our own product, to be the first back in 100 years. So which is cool because establishing in 2015, it made us exactly a century from the last distillery doors that shut pre-prohibition until the first distillery doors that reopened. So from 1915 to 2015, And because it was a smaller operation, it was only a 100-gallon pot still, 3 100-gallon fermenter, 100-gallon cooker, and that is still the exact same operation. Now, we did build a larger distillery in 2017, but what's cool is we have been experimental distilling essentially on the same 100-gallon pot still for over a decade now. And but the most important historical aspect of the Chattanooga Whiskey Experimental Distillery is that Grant asked, can we just spent all this time changing laws as an organization? Why would we repeat or copy somebody else's recipe? And so instantly, even though we were selling an MGP product off of these 1,200 barrels and building up those case sales into the thousands of case sales, we decided that as soon as we started distilling that we were going to distill something else and distill our own thing. Now, it was inspired by great bourbon. It was inspired by this path that we had taken, but it was also inspired by Grant's past, and Grant wanted to explore the world of specialty malted grains and bourbon, and the 100-gallon pot still gave us an opportunity to do that exploration. And I would say it was low risk. I mean, maybe that's totally relative to to everyone, but for us, there was no one. I mean, it was really just us doing this operation. We had a team, but it was a smaller team, and we didn't have. I mean, we had a board, but none of the board and shareholders, but none of them came from the industry. So it was really us just trying to figure out how to kind of be uniquely our own and be uniquely rich and complex. And Grant was convinced that richness and complexity and quality and product integrity was going to come from the world of specialty malts and bourbon, especially considering a guy that just came from an industry where they were changing the face of craft beer, and now you got an opportunity to change the face of craft bourbon, in the early, 2010s. So in the state of Tennessee, where, everybody knows about, Jack. So, you get 2 years down the road, we get to 2017. It's kind of a holy cow moment. We turn around, we have 100 different recipes that we've put away. We can only distill a barrel a week, but every single week we distilled a new recipe featuring new specialty malted grains, featuring different yeast strains, featuring different barrel finishes, different toasts and different chars, and pretty awesome exploration and to have this barrel cellar with over 100 different unique recipes aging in 53-gallon barrels, some 30-gallon barrels in the beginning, but mostly 53 gallons. And so because the operation, the experimental operation, from a tourism perspective and from a storytelling perspective, from a cultural perspective, was successful, I was able to rally our shareholders to more than quadruple down and build the Riverfront Distillery in downtown Chattanooga, which is 50,000 square feet and produces over 2,000 barrels a year. And what's crazy is we built a multi-million-dollar operation a mile away, and we didn't even have a recipe picked out. So I mean, that's kind of crazy. And we literally were like, well, what are we gonna do? Let's choose from one of these 100 recipes that we just put away. And by the way, by this time in 2017, before we opened Riverfront, I mean, we were still selling 1816 as our flagship, and we had built that up to like a 17 or 18,000 case brand, and we were literally about to rip that Band-Aid off. So 2017, we do bracketology, March Madness. We go from 100 barrels down to the team. It's all with internal team. We get it down to our final four, and then Grant and I choose from the final four, and the winner was barrel number 91. And so we scaled up the 91st recipe to become our flagship. Then Grant says, we've made a lot of other good stuff, and during this period of time, we had started releasing, in 2017, 2017, we started releasing some of these other, we call it the Road to Tennessee High Malt 2017 to 2019, or the Road to Barrel 91, if you will. We were releasing experimentals. And so our first 10 experimentals is where you had like our first cherry wood smoke malt, our first Scotch cask, our first wheated bourbon, our first single malt, our first rye. So anyways, Grant's like, hey, we've got a lot of amazing variety of recipes. Can we scale these up too? And it was like, yeah, I mean, it was kind of became like an 80-20 or 70-30 mix where, we were laying the foundation of 91, which also produces 111, but also the other 25 to 30% of the time, we were doing dozens of other recipes, scaling up from experimental up to Riverfront. And so August of 2019 rolls around. I started doing blind tastings of 91 out of the barrel with like local chefs in town. I was putting them up against some of the best products that the bourbon consumer knows of. We were winning almost every time of a barrel strength. I wasn't disclosing age or proof or anything like that. I was having them guess it. They always guessed high on age. They always guessed low on proof. I was like, this stuff is ready to go. And in August of 2019, we launched Chattanooga Whiskey 91 and Chattanooga Whiskey 111. And it was a nerve-wracking year because we were essentially prepared to fall on our own sword, and we decided that whatever happens, but we believed that it needed to be 100% authentically produced in Chattanooga and 100% unique to Chattanooga whiskey, and we believed that this recipe was better. We believed this product was better. I personally liked it more. Grant personally liked it more. Most of the blind taste tests with people around town, they personally liked it more. So we went for it, and I just hoped that we would hold on to at least half of our customer base that we had built up on the backs of MGP, and it was much more successful than that. From in a very short period of time, we went from that 18,000 case base to a 50,000 case base, and then we launched rye in 2020, 99 rye. We launched Bottled and Bond in 2021. We launched Barrel Finishing Series in 2021. We launched Founders in 2021, and we won Craft Producer of the Year by Icons of Whiskey in 2023, and we've launched into 30 markets. And we last Thursday we won Craft Producer of the Year for America by Icons of Whiskey for the second time since 2023 for the year 2026. So I say all that to say that I feel like Chattanooga Whiskey has earned Craft Producer of the Year. I think we are the craft producer, the best. I believe we are the best craft producer in America. And the word producer is a little it's a little it's lacking in pizzazz. I mean, you could say it more boldly. I think that Chattanooga Whiskey is the best in its craft as an American whiskey company, because of the body of work that we've put in. For this coming October will be 15 years. The next Founders will be the 14th anniversary, celebrating since our birthday ever since April of 2012 of having whiskey on the shelves. We've been distilling since for 11 years in one location, and then Riverfront for 9 years, and we've put away over 500 different experimental recipes. So when you think about the world of experimenting within American whiskey, there's a lot, because there's more than 2,500 distilleries in the U.S. Of course, when we got started, there were very few, but we're kind of one of those where it's like all of our stuff is on our website, right? You can find our recipes on our website. You can find our barrel finishes on our website. And some people ask, like, well, are you afraid of disclosing so much? And I just say, look, if somebody no, because it's like a kind of a catch me if you can type situation, right? I mean, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for the guys that went before us. But when it comes to our level of exploration, we hit the ground running really fast on exploring the world of recipes and grains and barrel finishes and yeasts, and we never stopped. And we have a distilling team of 10 that's highly innovative, and they never stopped. And we coined and trademarked our own style of bourbon called Tennessee High Malt. So no one can make Tennessee High Malt except for Chattanooga whiskey. I'm very proud of that, and I'm very proud of our body of work. And when it comes to product integrity, when it comes to putting the work in, I will tip my cap to everyone in the industry that puts their own level of hard work in. And whatever that yields, congratulations. So I'm just here to, I'm grateful that we have now put that body of work in, and now I just want people to know about it.
So when you guys were basically March Madness, all these barrels, were you doing it at like cast strength, or were you proofing them down, or a little bit of both, or
it was all cast strength. Yeah.
And then the 91 proof, was that just to pay homage to the 91st recipe barrel, or did it actually work out to be one of the better proofs at that point, or proof point? Yeah.
It was no. So 91 proof it was like, well, 1816 was 90 proof. 1816 reserve was 90 proof. 1816 cask was 113.6 proof. So we wanted to continue on with kind of a big brother, little brother, or big sister, little sister, pairing on the shelf. And so 91 and 111 were to replace those two. So going from 90 to 91 and from 113.6 to 111. Now the proof actually was just fun. It worked out. It was like, oh, it's 90. The 91st barrel was it just was the thing. It was the reason we chose that recipe is because it was the best. We felt like its taste profile was the best representation of both a classic bourbon and a malted bourbon, and that's what we wanted. It's yellow corn, malted rye, caramel malted barley, and honey malted barley. The reason we went to 111 from 113.6 proof was because our barrel entry proofs have started at 115, and in order to consistently hit a cask level proof, we had for us we felt like 111. Also, just as there's some random numbers in there too. Like 111 is the highway that connects us to our cornfield. So there's some other stuff. There's always kind of a we play a numbers game where there's always deeper meaning in numbers that most people will never know anything about. But anyways, 111 is very approachable. It's approachable and marketable number and proof point. So it is not. It's the reason it says cask on the label is because we started off with a cask. 113.6 proof was called a cask, but we're very careful not to call it specifically if we're selling at cask strength, because that is a legal definition. So we call it cask forward because we do sell many cask strength offerings. Like our single barrels are obviously all cask strength. So anyways, so it's really, that's like historically relating it to the 1816 cask that once was essentially.
That's cool. I wouldn't know, but that's cool about the 111 and the street and all that stuff. So I've been to the experimental distillery with the little basement style brick house. And I imagine you guys have something a little bit bigger at the other distillery. Do you guys rotate barrels?
Not intentionally. Yeah, not intentionally. So our barrel storage, obviously, so you saw downstairs, we call it our barrel cellar downstairs, where we maintain about 200 experimental barrels down there at all times. And then at Riverfront, we house approximately 5,000 barrels there at all times. And those are palletized and vertically stored. And in that barrel house, we don't temperature control it. The building is a black brick building. So in the river valley, it gets very hot in the summertime, retains heat really, really well. So our evaporation is great. The age is great. So we do have a bit of an accelerated age, being in Southeast Tennessee and being a black brick building in the valley. But we get the benefit of that. But it is ironically, at experimental, we would not age the products very well, typically because it's underground. But it's because of our distilling equipment and our boiler line that happens to run through there, it actually heats that space up significantly, and it has helped age the product significantly. So kind of interesting how that worked out.
Yeah, pretty convenient byproduct of distilling.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Tennessee High Malt as a branding strategy. Talk about kind of why that's important to you over just being another bourbon on the shelf.
Well, when Grant and I were, when it was just him and experimental everyday distilling, obviously we wanted to be uniquely our own product. And one of the first things that we had determined early on is that because we were already selling bourbon, and it gets so confusing. I even frustrate myself with sometimes because I want the consumer to understand it, right? And it's so complex. It's sometimes hard to talk about. But Chattanooga whiskey was born a bourbon. We were not born a Tennessee whiskey, and we didn't want to be a Tennessee whiskey. We didn't want to do the Lincoln County process. We just weren't interested in it. We, believe it or not, we may or may not be experimenting with the Lincoln County process, but those are experiments. That's not to become something else. Our desire was really flavor. That was our desire. It was complexity. And Grant, within the Tennessee High Malt process, that will not just, even though the foundation is based on specialty malted grains, really about the whole process. It's about how we're distilling it. It's about how we're cooking. It's about how we're fermenting it. So like even our fermentations, since day one, Grant has implemented a long cold fermentation. We do 7-day fermentations at 78 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and we work with a single malt yeast, by the way, because of that. And so it's all about esterification. It's all about natural yeast settling in and creating trans-esterification because of the natural yeast that settles into the fermentation. And so really Tennessee High Malt was our way to kind of rubber stamp brand this thing that we are as a unique bourbon from Tennessee that is not a Tennessee whiskey. And so we had to create our own, we wanted to be principled about it and create our own parameters. So for example, one of those parameters is we don't do anything that's less than 25% in specialty malted grains. So we do single malts as well. We do a variety of different percentages of malt, but Tennessee High Malt is at least 25% in specialty malted grains. It's 7-day fermentations. We still explore varieties of entry barrel entry proofs and toasts and chars. We work very closely with Independent Stave on customizing all of our toast levels with them. But yeah, I mean, Tennessee High Malt was just a way to, we would ask ourselves every day, we would talk about it, like, what is this thing that we were making? Like, we're making something unique to Tennessee, and it's unique to Chattanooga whiskey, and Jack Daniel's has Tennessee whiskey. Really, anybody can make Tennessee whiskey, really, if you Lincoln County process it. But you know, the average consumer, millions of bourbon drinking consumers don't know that. They just think Tennessee whiskey is Jack Daniel's, right, for the most part. And that's great. I'm here to say I'm proud of it, but I'm more proud of Tennessee High Malt because that's what we do. So we needed the thing that we did from a flavor to kind of like represent from a flavor perspective, you know. So yeah, it was in branding. Labeling what we do, owning what we do. You know, the fact that we were able to trademark it and now it's registered. It's a registered trademark. That's pretty cool. So, and some people have asked, like, do you ever plan on sharing it? I'm like, well, no, because, you know, like we put the work in to create this thing. So no, we're all about sharing our whiskey with people, but we're not going to share our trademarks with people. So anyway.
So you mentioned esters with fermentation. Are you guys trying to go for a certain like thing with that, or just whatever happens sort of deal?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, I think so. One of the things that we didn't want a yeast flavor profile to be dominant in our flavor. Which when you do short, hot fermentations, is pretty common. It's pretty common to have a specific flavor profile that comes from yeast esterification that just kind of lives with your brand for forever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a note. Like, it doesn't matter if you have 10 different labels. Like, that note, because of how you ferment, it's like pervasive throughout, right? So we didn't want that. We wanted the recipe to speak for itself, and that's really how you get the recipe to speak for itself, is by slowing it down and cooling it down.
And then, what are you looking at for angel shares like your Riverfront and then the experimental?
I think we're like 10% on our first year and 5 to 7 every year after that. We're high. I think Grant estimated that we're like 25% higher than Central Northern Kentucky.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know me and Paul, we one of the reasons why we like doing this is we like to kind of get nerdy with this stuff, and
yeah,
most people don't ask that. There's people out there that drink whiskey every day, don't know what angel share is or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
well,
we like to get a little nerdy sometimes with this stuff. So
yeah, and let me declare that I am not a distiller, right? So I am simply the guy that just tries to find a way to keep the tires on the track. So, but our distilling team is the best in the industry, led by Grant and Tiana. Grant is now our chief product officer, founding distiller. That's his title, and Tiana Saul took over his former role of head distiller a few years ago, 3 years ago. Grant's been with us since 2014, and so 12 years, and Tiana's been with us for 10 years. So.
And then, who or what decides when a barrel's ready?
Oh man, I can tell you this. We do not now. When it comes to age, it's all stylistic. So while we do try to put systems in place so that age doesn't go backwards. We don't want age to go backwards. We also, like, once we release a product in an age range, we kind of like typically play in that age range or older. So I say that to say, like, there isn't, I mean, for example, if it's a single barrel or if it's or like bottle to bond, right? Like we're not, we do hold ourselves accountable. We cannot release a bottle to bond if it's under 4 years, period, right? So there are requirements. We have our own requirements on that, but we're not going after age as the thing. People ask me, like, what is your age range? I say between 3 and 7 years. And it totally depends on what the label is. And they're like, well, are you targeting something older? The answer is no. Will it happen? Probably. But that's not the goal. So typically when it comes to what's ready to go, it's like, all right, well, now we've kind of set up this shelf set. And the shelf set is 91, 111, 99 rye, bottled and bond, barrel finishing series, founders, and single barrel. So we have 7 products. Now that's not including experimentals, right? We've always got experimentals going as well, which include a variety of liqueurs that we're increasingly doing. So within those 7 products, we have, Grant and team are innovating to make sure that we have a product release calendar that always has something ready to go in its place. So, for example, the next barrel finishing series, because we don't ever repeat barrel finishing series, or bottled and bonds are seasonal, right? We do 2 vintages a year. We do a spring vintage and a fall vintage. So we're doing a lot of, outside of 91, 111, and 99 rye, everything else, with the exception of single barrels, we're doing a lot of custom blending, a lot. So like we have a distiller that's his role is, blending. So really, like, making sure that the product release calendar is set, and we have to be innovating years ahead of that. So it's kind of, man, you kind of just have some faith that if you're working with foundationally a really good product or a set, dozens and dozens of recipes of really good products, that you have exponential blending power, and that within that blending power, you can come up that your solution is going to be good. You know what I mean? It's not that's kind of like that's the prerequisite. The prerequisite is that we put in the work ahead of time so that when we blend these things together, and we hit that product release calendar, it's going to be uniquely good to Chattanooga whiskey. I feel like there was that was not the answer. Like, I don't know. That's just there. That's the thing about Chattanooga whiskey, is there's just not a really easy direct answer with everything that we do. I'm telling you, man.
Now, with the experimental batches, how do you guys,
come up with that?
Are you just putting in like an AI word generator and just seeing what comes up? Because you guys do so many of them. There's got to be a point where you're like, what the hell do we do next?
Total playground, and inspired by all of the distillers' inspirations. That's what's so cool about it, and there's just so much. It's super, super artisanal, and fortunately, Grant and Tiana and team are artists, and they have lots of ideas, and we kind of say, like, we can really explore really just about anything as long as it kind of has that Tennessee high malt foundation in it. So, for example, I think one of the batch numbers that you guys had in your email to me was one of the gins. Did you have a gin batch number in there? Batch, it was 20 something.
26, maybe.
That might be. That sounds right. Anyways, so like our gin, for example, we've done a bunch of different gins, and that's it. Yeah.
Little bourbon barrel gin, and then I think I sent Paul a while back the sample of the Aquavit.
That's another example. But those came from Tennessee high malt mash bills. I mean, those are bourbon mash bills that we're using to make those things. And we love to explore the world of botanicals and infusions. And this is all real. So when we come out with an infusion and we come out with a liqueur, it is all hand peeled, hand squeezed, hand picked. I mean, and it's just a total exploration, but it's all kind of in the name of Tennessee high malt.
Now, with all those, you talked about Aquavit gin. I know you did like a tequila finish and agave experimental at one point that I remember loving. Is there any? You guys have never had just a regular on the shelf everyday product other than whiskey, right? Do you have any plans to have another bottle enter your full-time lineup that's maybe not a whiskey or bourbon or high malt?
We talk about that. I mean, we've always gone away. We've always shied away from going outside of whiskey or like contract distilling too, right? Like we haven't done either one of those things. We've really just focused on making Chattanooga whiskey the best that it can be in its name. And we'll continue to do that. That said, there are products that you can make like gin with Tennessee high malt bourbon mash bills that we do love and that we're excited about. So we don't have any plans to have an everyday product in it, but we are trying to slowly but surely increase our liqueur capability. And so those liqueurs, I mean, most of them are bourbon liqueurs, or they're all Tennessee high malt based liqueurs. But we're working, like for example, we did a peach gin liqueur, and we're gonna do a strawberry gin liqueur. So those things do very, very well. We did an herbal infused liqueur. I mean, that's like our way more higher quality boutique version of Jaeger, essentially. But people love them. I mean, they love them. They're seasonal. We did a spiced cacao liqueur that was, incredible, using real cocoa nibs, and so I mean, that's one of our passions. We'd love to do more of it, but right now our infusion equipment just, we only make, like, if we're lucky, to get a 500 to 800 batch. So they just don't go very far. But if I could make more liqueurs, I would, because there's, we did this thing called the Intergalactic Comet Crusher, which is our Project Alpha, and it, no pun intended, it absolutely crushed it in the market. I mean, people loved it, and you can have so much fun with it, but we're still Chattanooga whiskey when we're doing it, right? So that's kind of the world we're trying to play in right now.
Yeah, that Intergalactic Comet Crusher, that top secret one, definitely had my interest. I wasn't able to grab a bottle, but the whole like classified and all this stuff was definitely. I love watching the reels and everything that was posted during that whole right before it got released and right after. And I remember after it got released, I was going to your website. I just pulled it up again just to kind of see what it actually was. Still says classified and everything, but the tasting notes like having your brain smashed out by a bag of lemons dipped in 42 karat gold. Again, still don't know what it is, but it's definitely intriguing.
It's a bourbon, but it has the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The answer to the universe, to the question, is the number 42. It's got it. So it has 42 different botanicals in it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to those experimentals, or staying in it, I guess one of my favorite was the batch 16, the fig infused Amaro. Which, Paul, if I haven't gotten you some of that, I'll get you some of it. It's one of my favorites to use in cocktails.
I wonder if I like all these boxes over here. I think I have one of those bottles. You just inspired me to break it out. It was one of the most popular. It gets so. Fun fact: my wife and I, we lived with our kids. We lived downtown for 20 years when we first got married, and literally just moved. But one of our neighbors is a prominent chef here in town, but we're downtown, so everybody's kind of stacked on top of each other. But he has a fig tree, and he's like, dude, this fig tree produces way too many figs, and so we made that with our neighbor's fig tree, which was super cool. Nothing like downtown Chattanooga figs, man. But it was one of the most popular infusions that we ever released.
Yeah, I love, like I said, making cocktails out of it, and the best part is you're only using an ounce or so at a time for cocktails, so that bottle's just.
Did you get that when you came up here, or did you buy that off of Sealbox?
Sealbox. So when the first time I was up there, I was just trying to find it. There it is. 2021. So literally, we bought this house, moved in, and like 3 months later, decided to do like a week and a half long vacation in Tennessee because she has family out there. So like we moved in, met our neighbors and stuff, and we're like, all right, we'll be gone for a while, watch her stuff. And that's when you guys released the citrus infused, and I walked out with a bottle of that, which is same thing. Like depending on the cocktail, whether you want a little bit darker sweetness from the fig or a little bit brighter sweetness from the citrus.
Yeah.
Both those are fantastic with cocktails. And then there's the mint infused, which again, another thing that you don't use too much of, but definitely brings the mint out in cocktails. The
mint is infused was fun. I think we launched that around the Derby.
Yeah. And big fan of like when we were there, that giant what was it, the sherry cask that you guys had down at
Oloroso sherry cask.
Yeah. So that was sitting there, and that cask was huge. And I remember asking about it, and they said, yeah, they got something coming out soon, maybe as long as it comes out. And then a couple months later, or however, I don't remember when it was, but it came out, and I was sitting there. I went to the wife, and I go, pretty sure that's the barrel we saw. And I went back to the picture and enlarged it, and it said like sherry cask on it or whatever. I was like, all right, I got to get this bottle now. And then
did you get it? So our first release of that was vatted.
I got all three.
Oh, nice. Okay, so I
haven't opened the last two, just because.
So it kind of went from this vatted idea, because we have two distilleries with two different stills, having Experimental being a pot still and Riverfront being a column still. Grant had an idea to really doing like a Scottish riff on it, where vatted. The term vatted is coming from two different distilleries. And so we had so the first release of that was a blend of recipes coming from one being the pot still and one being the column still into the Oloroso sherry cask, which is a 100-gallon cask, by the way. It's a big cask. And then that ended up morphing into what we started calling centenary, how you want to pronounce it. And so it went from vatted to centenary, whatever. I can't remember what. It was like around batch 30, batch 29 or something like that, and then our next centenary, which. So yeah. But what's interesting is the Oloroso sherry. It's 100 and it's like circa 1915. So, the thing is whatever. It's 110 years old, and that first release was pretty. There was a decent amount of sulfur in that first release, which depending on what you're looking for, isn't necessarily. I mean, sulfur can be bad, but to me, it was like just part of the uniqueness of the old cask and process. But then, as you've gotten into the next release and the release after that, I personally, it's kind of some of those old Oloroso sherry notes have been blended out, and it's gotten a little bit more approachable to the average consumer. But that's not something it's just cool to have. That's kind of like our Solera barrel of experimental. We have 3 Solera barrels over at Riverfront. One that's 700 gallons, one that's 4,000 gallons, and one that's 1,700 gallons. So our Oloroso sherry cask experimental is essentially our 110-year-old Solera barrel at the experimental distillery.
Since we're talking about Solera, what was the reason for going towards Solera with at least the 91?
So again, this kind of goes back to Grant's philosophy of every step of the process. If you can enhance complexity, then you do it. So that was that philosophy. So you go, it's like, why not do a Solera barrel if you can do a Solera barrel? It doesn't really. It allows us to take. So each batch of 91 is an 8-barrel batch. In a fermenter, a 3,000 gallon fermenter, yields 8 barrels essentially. The first 4 barrels go into a 4 char with no toast. The second 4 barrels go into a 3 char with a custom toast profile. So the Solera barrel allows us to do a 50-50 blend of 4 chars in no toast with a 3 char in the 91 toast. So you're really kind of getting the best of both worlds, but you're getting flavor profiles or characteristics that come from, when you have a 4 char no toast, it's a little bit more like classic oak and vanilla. When you have a 3 char with a custom toast, it's a little more confectionery, a little bit more caramel and toasty, graham crackery and chocolatey. And so the Solera barrel allows us to bring those 2 worlds together.
Have you guys always experimented with different toast and char profiles, or is that something that eventually came out a little bit down the road?
So this is one of these things. The short answer is that we got stronger and stronger with exploring, because we ended up going when we built Riverfront, we needed a barrel supplier that was like a partner. You know what I mean? We needed a real partner barrel supplier. ISC ended up becoming that. Now, we have worked with other barrel suppliers in the past, and they're great, but we ended up choosing ISC because they were excited to work with us on custom toast profiles. So we got more heavy into it when we kicked off 91, but we have been exploring custom toast with experimental as well. But here's the thing, man. You gotta if you use our Chattanooga whiskey labels, there's a lot of information on that label.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you're not going to read if you're the average consumer and you're just quickly scanning the shelf, you're not gonna see that Chattanooga whiskey is a toasted bourbon, which is a little sad to me. Which is hilarious because I could do something about that if I wanted to. But the reality is that we got a lot of shit to say. So it's you got to read it and to know that we put a lot into our product. I mean, we want people to know, for example, 111 is unfiltered. You know, that's an unfiltered bourbon. But you gotta read it to know it. So yeah, there's
not so much in that one. One of my first 111 bottles
had a lot.
It must have been like the bottom of the barrel, because like I remember like halfway through, all of a sudden I was like, what is all this stuff? And I'm looking and there's just a bunch of char floating around. And I was like, this is awesome. And every time I go to the store to buy a new one, I'll kind of like flip them around to see if there's any char in them. And this one has a little bit, nothing too crazy, but you can see some floaters around there. But yeah, that first one was like the whole, like you would think the bottom of the bottle was almost black with it floating around in there.
But yeah, I mean, I do trust me. I mean, it says cask on it, and that's part of it. But a lot of labels out there, not our labels, but other labels, they kind of hitch their wagon to one thing, right? They hitch their wagon to being toasted, and that's pretty good from a consumer standpoint. But hopefully, as time goes by, and it has, people read a little bit more or do their research, and they realize, man, Chattanooga whiskey is putting in the is doing these things, but we don't want to just hitch our wagon to that one thing, right? We want you to learn that it's a toasted product. We do talk a lot about it, like in radio ads and stuff like that we do locally in Tennessee and Georgia and stuff. But anyways.
Yeah, I'm sure, what was it, last year or 2 years ago when the toasted boom went crazy and everyone was going after toasted? Sure, you could have thrown that on the front and you guys would have exploded.
Yeah.
At least around here. I don't know about where you guys are, but any bottle that had toasted on it, people are going crazy over. Which, yeah, some of the toasted stuff's good. Some of it's just there. But yeah, without actually I get some of the toasty notes through them, but I don't get like that, like how some people say, like almost s'more like with the marshmallow and graham cracker. I get a little bit of it, but nothing like overly like some of these are. Which one of the main reasons why I become a fan is because it kind of bridged the gap. Because when I first started drinking, other than like the Wild Turkey and Makers, was like Doers and like the cheaper scotches. And that was my grandfather drank, and it's kind of how I kind of started drinking. And then buddies got me into some Makers, hence why it's all there. And then obviously Wild Turkey and Beam and stuff. But it was kind of like the bridge between like the Scotch single malt to bourbon. A little bit of maltiness you get from that, and you get the bourbon profile. That's how I liked it, and it kind of stood out. It wasn't like a typical bourbon profile.
Is your sounds is a little weird for me? I don't know. I didn't hear a lot of that.
Yeah, you kind of went muffled for a minute.
We good now?
There you go.
Yes.
So I don't know what you guys heard, but so grandfather drank a lot of scotch, like Doers and
I heard that
stuff. So it basically like blends for me. What the reason why I liked it to start out is because it kind of like filled the gap between like the single malt scotches with that like malty notes, and then like the typical bourbon, whether it's Makers, Jim Beam, Wild Turkey, whatever, like that caramel and all that, kind of bridged the gap between them. And it was a nice little something different to pour instead of I hate saying the same old stuff, because obviously every distillery tastes different, but you get the typical caramel vanillas, and then Jim Beam, you get the nuttiness. Makers obviously is wheated, so you get a little bit of sweeter notes to it. Turkey has that spice profile and the funk, but you always get like the base of it's that vanilla caramel toast or char. So that was one of the things that drew me in. Was it kind of had it was still a bourbon, but it was different. Which obviously I've been a fan for a while. So
we ran when I was talking about commenting on talking about toasted and radio ads, that just made me think, because I know you said you're based in Jacksonville. We ran an ad in Tampa on a billboard. It was during the Super Bowl, It was during Tom Brady's Super Bowl down there, and it said in the ad was a big label of Chattanooga whiskey, and next to it it said, "My favorite bourbon, Tom B." And one of our somebody that was close to us, that's an attorney, was just like, "That's bold," and I was like, "We didn't say it was Tom Brady. We said, you know how many Tom B's live in Tampa? A ton.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was funny. We got somebody email us and was like, "Really, guys?" We were like, "It's working." Someone email us about it. Yeah.
So how did the rye come about? Obviously, the bourbon, you had a bunch of different barrels lined up, trying to figure out which one you guys like the best. How did the rye come about?
The rye was inspired by one of our first 10 batches that we released out of the experimental distillery. It was batch 007, and batch 007 was a purple label, and that is why rye, by the way, the rye label today, 99 rye, is purple. It's inspired by that. It is a malted rye. We did evolve it a little bit. It actually used to have a barley in it. It doesn't have a barley in it anymore. Now it's 3 different varieties of malted rye and our yellow corn. So I think it's chocolate malted rye, caramel malted rye, and pale malt rye. And then like 30, 35, 40% yellow corn that's in there. And it is also unfiltered. So it is an unfiltered rye. And we call it the Bourbon Drinker's Rye because it is significantly more rich and complex and darker, like a darker flavor profile than your typical rye. And so it tends to bridge the gap. In almost every tasting we've done with it for 6 years now, almost every tasting we've done with rye, I can almost guarantee you that of the people that don't drink ryes, they almost love it every single time. And it is because it is just a very unique rye. Oh, it also has its own toast profile on the barrel. So you're doubling up the toast between the grains and the barrel.
Paul, have you been able to get into that rye yet?
I have not.
I'm gonna say,
going to start.
Paul is our in-house rye connoisseur. Adam from Kentucky obviously is a bourbon heavy fan. Paul's from Maryland, so you got a lot of that Maryland, Pennsylvania style rye out there. And then I'll just drink anything, to be honest with you. So curious to see what have you had the rye yet, Paul?
I have not. No, I've been looking forward to it. I was going to.
Which rye did you? Is that a bottle of 99 rye that you have? Okay. Oh, that's the man. You got the old label.
Yeah. There's still a couple stores still has the old label sitting on the shelf here.
That label might have the barley in it. Turn it around and read it. And tell me if it has barley in it.
Rye, corn, malted rye, or malted barley. Yeah, caramel malted barley.
Now you got the first recipe right there. It's changed since then.
Shit. Well, yeah, I like this one.
Yeah. Hey, look.
I was a fan of this one, so if that new one's anything close to this one, then yeah, I was in the.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a very close cousins. So, yeah, very, very closely related. So closely related, they should not marry.
No, I can see what you're saying about this being like a kind of a gateway rye for people. Those traditional rye spices don't like.
They don't pop. They're there, but they don't pop.
They're there, yeah. I mean, there's a definitely like the first thing I picked up. I'm getting like cola and citrus, which is great notes. bacon spice is definitely there. Honey, you can kind of get some malty notes. Graham cracker. It's pretty complex. I'm digging this. This is very good.
Yeah, I
This is
remember.
the first time I've had your rye, I believe. I don't think I've even had any of the experimental or anything.
Now, do you have an old label as well? Are you drinking from a sample that?
Yeah, sample. I
From
got
a
'em.
sample because the rye's not on the shelves in Maryland. It's just 91 and 111. I think are the only ones that we can get. I don't know if that's just the stores I go to, or if you have any other distribution, or it's just those two that come up.
We're with Prestige LaDroit up there. They're an awesome distributor, by the way. And that's a question I ask my our guys. See if I'm not sure. Where are you in Maryland?
I'm pretty close to Annapolis. I'm in Pasadena, Maryland. So just a little bit north of Annapolis, 20 minutes from Baltimore. So I don't believe I've ever seen anything else on the shelf except the 111 and the 91. Get samples from Jerry a lot and then grab some stuff on Steel Box, but it would be cool to see this 99 rye on the shelf.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
My dad, by the way, born and raised in Baltimore, so
Oh, cool.
spent a lot of time going to the Chesapeake as a kid. So
Mhm.
It's one of the most underrated parts of America.
Oh yeah, it's snowy here right now.
It is?
Yeah, we're supposed to get like 6 to 8 inches of snow tonight.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it's covered the ground. It was raining when I came out, and it's already covered the ground. I got a little shed set up here. Yeah, I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping we don't get that much, but they're calling for 6 to 8, and it just melted off. The last snowstorm we had from like 2 weeks ago. Finally, I mean, we still got piles of snow from the plow, but everything melted off into a muddy mess, and now it's snowing its ass off again. I'm ready for spring.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. With this 99 rye, every time it's like a off-brand cola or cherry cola with a little bit of like a lime or lemon in it, or yeah, with the notes I get a lot of it.
Yeah.
And then towards the back end, you get a little bit of the rye spice coming through. It's like I said before we started recording. I went through probably at least a case or two when it first hit Jacksonville. It was one of the only ryes I was drinking. Then it kind of got lost or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it started hitting again around here. So I'm excited about that. I'll have to see if I can find the new batches of it and kind of compare the two. But yeah, this rye, it's one of my favorites for one of the like daily drinker style ryes. Like
awesome.
It's perfect. Where was I just had a question. I lost it too. Yeah, I can't remember. Anyways, what of these three, the 91, the 111, and the rye, what are the consumers going for the most, or do you guys see?
91's it's our value proposition. We decide like our motto is whiskey to the people, and that's because the power that if it weren't for the power of the people, we would not exist. They rallied around us and packed out the courthouse and fought for us, and that's why we're legal. And so we've always kind of, because of that, it's really also like a mission statement that we want to provide a great value for what we put in. So 91 is everyday price point of like $34.99, and it's really designed to be that. It's just designed to be our flagship. So that's about 60% of our sales.
So I remember what I was saying. So one of the ones over there is a single barrel rye, which I'll have to get you samples, Paul, because I think it's like 121 proof or something like that. Somewhere right around that 120-ish. It's so good.
So the single barrel rye is the new recipe.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to side by side a 99 and a 120
Right.
proof. But that one, it was, I don't remember who picked it. Maybe Breaking Bourbon. I think, picked it. It's a good one. Do you have are you guys thinking about possibly releasing maybe like a little bit of higher proof rye? Kind of like how you do the 91 and 111. You're thinking about doing maybe like a 99 and
We'll
maybe like 115?
We'll keep doing the single barrel ryes on occasion, but we won't do any other ryes. I mean, we like the trio. We liked the 91, 99, and 11. You know.
And how'd you guys come up with the 99 proof? Did it just fit in there?
Yep. Love the kind of like, it's like a viscous rye. You know, it's not low proof, it's not high proof, and 91's 91 and 111 are great numbers, and we're like, well, we need another great number in between 91 and 111. 99 seems like a great number, so.
Now, I say it all the time that 100 to like 110 proof is like my sweet spot, and these are literally right outside that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of hoping there was another road that led down or something, some other crazy story.
You like solely committed to 100 to 110, and anything outside of 100 to 110, it's bad luck.
So, Paul, were you able to sample all through them, or which ones have you sampled yet?
I started with the 91. Just finished the rye. I'm going to jump into this 111, and I'm interested about this silver too.
Yeah. So at the distillery, I don't know whose idea it was, but when we did the tasting after the tour, it was the silver, then the 91, 111 rye, and then I think it was the citrus infused and in a cocktail. I think whoever's idea it was to put the silver with the 91 and 111, it's fantastic because
you pick it up.
Yeah, you go back and like you'll just try I think they told us to start with just the 91. And then once you're done with that, go back to the silver and then go back to the 91, and you pick up different notes. So it's because I think the bottle says like an hour or something like that in the barrel, or whatever age for an hour or something like that.
That's
just to technically become a bourbon or whatever.
Or a whiskey.
A whiskey, yeah. So it's cool going back and forth, and like you pick up some different notes. Like when I got a little bit poured up, when I go back to the 91 and 111, I get a little bit more like citrusy notes to it versus like with the 111, I get a lot of like floral, a little bit of citrus, but like the floral honey notes. And then there's obviously you get the cinnamon and those kind of typical bourbon notes sort of deal in there. But when it goes from the silver back to that 91, that floral and citrusy notes pop, and it changes it completely. And the same thing but different with the 111. The 111 to me gets darker and sweeter. When you go back and forth from the silver. It becomes more of like a chocolate covered cherry versus like a cinnamon cherry or something like that. It was a cool little thing they did, and not too many tours you get to try the silver white dog. Like you can, but a lot of them are the upgraded ones. You don't really taste it on the tasting portion of it.
Right.
So it was cool kind of going back and forth. And you basically taste and smell the grain in the silver versus that. So Paul, what do you think about all those?
Well, I got them poured up, like you said. I got going with all three side by side, like the distillery experience, I guess. I'm in the 111 right now. There's an herbal note that I'm getting on the nose that's very intriguing. I don't know if it's like pine or sage or something. I don't know what I'm getting, but I like it. But yeah, on the palate, I mean, I was trying to put it together in my head when he said chocolate covered cherry, and that's nails it right on.
Yeah.
That's the first note you get on the palate is like just a semi-sweet chocolate. There's that dark fruit note in there. Lots of honey, a ton of honey. I haven't tried the silver yet, but this is my favorite so far. I really like that rye, but this is
Got
and
111.
I've had the 91 and 111, because I can get that off the shelf here. But
Yeah.
it's this is I really like the 111.
Awesome.
That being said, I just mentioned, and Jerry was talking about it. What can consumers expect if they go to the distillery? Do you guys have? I mean, obviously you do tours and tastings, I would imagine. Do you have any other things going on at either one of the distilleries now that you have?
We don't do tours at Riverfront yet. 7 years in, we still, or whatever, 8, 9 years in, we still, or whatever. No, that's not true. Is it? Yeah. Oh my God, 9 years in, we don't do tours yet. But experimental, we always have new experiments coming out. So the tasting, so the flight is always changing. I don't even know what's on the flight right now. Honestly with you, I should. But
it's probably
it's always going to be it doesn't always have silver on it. It has silver on it we have so many experiments and stuff right now that we rather have those on the flight if we can.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll rotate silver off and we'll rotate a cocktail out, and sometimes it'll just be like, you might have 3. You might have 91, 111, 99 rye, and then you'll have like Bottle and Bond or latest founders, and then an experimental that's on there, like a liqueur or something that's on there.
Do you guys bottle this silver and sell it, or is it just like
only out of experimental?
That's amazing. I'm blown away by how good that is. You're getting like a pear note, which is coming kind of out of nowhere for me. I don't know where I'm picking up that pear note or what the hell that's coming from, but I really like that. That's really good.
I mean, our silver is the best White Dog whiskey in the game, and we have been told that year after year after year by hundreds of people that come through. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you sell them to the market? It's like, because White Dog whiskey just doesn't really sell, so there's not a demand for it. Maybe there will be a demand for our stuff. I have no idea, but we haven't tried it.
I'd buy it.
Cool.
Experimental batches. What has been your absolute favorite? You got to have one, I'm sure, that just stands out to you, that like kind of blew you away when you first tasted it, and you probably have a couple cases stashed under the bed somewhere.
I've got a few that come to mind. I've got, actually, man, I don't have a couple of cases of anything stashed on. I have just 1 or 2 bottles of everything stashed away. Fig is definitely one of them. Coffee infused is one of them. Tequila infused is one of them. Peach gin is one of them. We just released a version of like an Irish whiskey, a single pot still. We just released a single pot still, and even though I don't collect Irish whiskey, I actually love a lot of Irish whiskey, especially single pot stills. So I thought it was really cool that we did that, and that's definitely one of my favorites. God, I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. That Appalachian grist is super cool because it's using all local grains, which is and working with Riverbend Malt House out of Asheville, North Carolina. So that's cool. And by the way, 100% of our corn is all grown by Catisa Farms. We're in Southeast Tennessee, but they're in Middle Tennessee. So, it's. Yeah, oh God, a lot of them come to mind, but those are some of my favorites. We did a spicy cow recently, which was awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge. I don't really like licorice, so I struggled with Aquavit because it had a fairly strong licorice flavor profile. And you would think is interesting, like our herbal infused was almost like a cinnamon sugar dipped licorice, which made it better. So I actually really like the herbal infused for that reason. So it was like a great digestif that we did. But I don't know. I could go on and on, I guess.
That Appalachian grist, that's probably one of my favorite non-liqueur, I guess, version of the experimental batches.
Yeah.
For me, like, because it's a blend of rye malt, wheat malt, and a bourbon, and for me, you could taste each individual thing in there. Like you could taste, basically, you could taste that rye malt, you could taste the wheat malt, you could and it changes. So, and every time you go back, it changes some more.
We work a lot with wheat malt. So B005 was our 5th batch we ever released, and that was a high wheat malt bourbon. And that was the inspiration behind. We actually scaled varieties of wheat malt bourbons up, and that's where we do a lot of blending. Like we have a wheat malt bourbon single barrel that we do. That's
the B005.
Yeah, there you go.
That one's from, I think, Browdy's. I don't know if that was just your standard like single barrel release of it, or if they actually picked it. I don't remember, but I remember picking it up at Browdy's.
So Bottled and Bond is a blend of some of those original recipes that we do. So that's why we kind of take the Bottled and Bond recipes and we break them out and do single barrels of them. So that's why you can get a Scottish style peated single barrel. That's why you can get a wheated single barrel. That's why you can get a roasted single barrel, which is a stout recipe that we do. And so we've been working with wheat malt for a long time. And the Confluence, so that's the first all wheat product that we did with New Riff. Yeah,
I grabbed on Seal Box, grabbed the bottle. It's in the closet there. I can't remember which batch it was, but Adam grabbed the bottle from New Riff. So one of these days coming up soon, we're gonna do a little side by side sort of action,
That's fun.
Just to kind of see how. So talk about that. Did you guys distill it and then them distill it and then you guys aged it yourselves, or did one person distill it and then you guys aged it separately?
No, we kind of went on our separate paths. It was really just a recipe that we shared. But and Brian and Grant worked together at Boston Beer, so that's where that relationship came from. And actually, they're the reason we even know Grant. That's the reason that I was introduced to Grant. It's because I knew him. It's because of Brian.
That's cool.
Well, it was really because of it wasn't because of Brian, but Larry Ebersold, who was the master distiller for LDI, was a consultant for New Riff, and he introduced me to Brian, and Brian introduced me to Grant. So that's how all that went down.
Yeah, that. So I remember when I got it in, I sent a text out to the guys, and because I told them I was going to grab it after Adam grabbed that other one, and I was sitting on the couch. We were watching a movie that night, me and the wife, and all of a sudden I looked down. I was like, I had to put this away. Like, this is too damn good. So I threw it back in the shelf, and be curious to see how it goes. Like how that your guys' versus theirs, how different it is or how similar.
Man, every single I've had one or two of theirs. And ours are all very different from one another. Each barrel is very different from one another. They're just here's the thing. In the aging, we didn't age in the exact same barrels. So we had our custom toast barrels,
and they got theirs.
Their own barrels. So the barrels were different as well.
Do you know if they? Because you guys have 10 different blend or I don't want to say blends.
Single barrels. They're all. They're,
do you guys have 10? Do they have something similar to that? Do you know?
Yeah, we did the same amount.
Did it?
Yeah.
We'll have to see which one he got.
Did they do more? No, they did more. They did more because they're their operation's a little bigger than ours, so they had a bigger batch than we did.
Yeah, because I remember I was looking, and it might have been an email, maybe on the website. I don't remember. But you guys had a list of. There it is.
It's on our website.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the list of the different barrels and.
Yep.
Yeah, I think ours was the one I grabbed. If I remember correctly, it was the 115 entry proof, 18-month season, number 3 char. I think is the one that I got. Be interested to see what which one Adam got from New Riff.
Yeah.
But before I forget, because I have it up, because I wanted to ask you about it before I forget, and then it keeps getting brought up. So I have the batch 18, the tequila finish.
Yeah.
That Paul was talking about earlier. I got it to them, and we had it a couple months back. That's also up there with one of my favorites. I see in the vault area on your website you could buy it, or it's the Vault series, the tequila barrel. Other than it being a little bit older and cast strength, basically, is there a difference between was it the 102 or 105 proof versus the Vault series, other than the age and proof?
I do not know if we. I want to. So there could be some different grains in it. I wouldn't be surprised, but the whole concept is really of Vault is really taking one concept we did in the past, sticking it away for a single barrel. So I need to go back and look. Let me see if I can
looking at it now. It says Vault revisions, column distilled and long finish. So I'm guessing instead, because at the experimental you guys have a hybrid still, right? Isn't it a pot with a column on it?
That is correct. Yep.
And then at the Riverfront's a column, you said, right?
Column and then a doubler.
So I wonder if it's just columns. Either way, Paul, you remember that tequila finish?
Oh yeah, no, I was a big fan. That's what kind of
this one's saying 123 proof.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Right. So what's crazy is this one stayed in the extra viejo barrels for over 5 years. Yeah. But it wasn't, believe it or not, I get more tequila out of the one you have than I do out of the I mean, it's definitely present, but you think like 5 years, oh my God, it must be 5 times stronger in tequila. It actually is not. The one you have is more tequila than this one.
I'd still be interested to try it. And then I completely forgot. I saved this on my phone. I completely forgot. So what's his name? Jacob. He's Coming Whiskey on Instagram. I don't know if you know what he does. He goes to the TTB and shares all like the new labels.
Yeah.
So recently he shared 3 different labels from you guys: the future, the past, and the present. Can you kind of explain and go over what those offerings are? Because I understand the past. It says Solera, the 1816, and the present obviously is the Solera 91. How are you going to put the future in a bottle if you haven't done it yet?
This is some good journalism, man. Is this gotcha journalism right now? By the way, it is. I'm just reading the batch 18 recipe. So that recipe did not change from the original tequila finish. All right. So every founder's release is a blend of our past, our present, and our future. Our past is 1816, and that is in a 625 gallon, 650 gallon Solera barrel, white oak with a char on the inside of it. That's where those barrels live. Our present is 91, and it's a blend of, again, our 4 chars and our 3 chars of the toast, but it's the same recipe. And that's in a 4,000 gallon white oak Solera barrel. And that's what we essentially bottle out of every day for 91. Future is what we call our infinity barrel. Our infinity barrel, it's a 1,700 gallon barrel that has really cool, infinity symbol strapping on it, on the barrel, metal strapping on it. And the reason we call it the future is because it's essentially our nod to innovation. So it's just kind of like that we're always pushing the envelope, pushing forward. So there are over 30 non-bourbon recipes that are in Infinity. And inside Infinity is also a blend of non-bourbon recipes distilled in the column still and at Riverfront, and non-bourbon recipes that distilled on the experimental pot still at Experimental. And I'm pretty sure even some tequila barrels went in there. There's a lot that has gone in there. There's even all wheat. Some of our all wheat recipes that have gone in there as well in this latest release. So that's why we call it the future. And each year it's a different percentage blend. But you know what? It's going to change anyways. I mean, the barrels evolve anyway. Like even if we did the same percentage year over year over year, the barrels evolve so much that it would still taste different. But it's boring to do the same percentage year over year over year. So we do different percentages every year. However, no customer has ever been able to taste specifically the past, the present, and the future. They can only taste them blended together in what is Founders. So this year we are offering a 3-pack of 375s so that you can get your own past, present, and future straight out of the Solera barrel at 100 proof. We'll proof it down because that's what Founders is. Founders is 100 proof. So we'll proof it to 100 proof so you can make your own blend. And we call it Blend Like a Founder. So that's why we did that.
That's pretty sweet. Is that going to be distillery only, or is that going to be
That's going to be event only. And if we have leftover, it'll go to the Experimental distillery.
Talk about that. Do you guys have the date yet for the Founders event?
Yeah, every year it's every year it's in April, and it's always a Thursday, and so stand by. We haven't launched it yet, but I think it is it's either going to be it's the 9th, April 9th.
Because last year I was going to come up to it, but then work got in the way, so I'll have to plan to come up this year and just make sure work doesn't get in the way this time.
Will that work in the way?
So, just wrapping up here, a couple just like random fun questions. If you didn't get into this whole whiskey thing, what would you be doing now? Or what do you think you'd be doing now?
Probably nothing in the spirits business. Only because that was pretty random. I was working for my dad for 8 years before I started this. And we were in manufacturing. He owned a manufacturing company, but before he went into manufacturing, he was in ministry my whole life. So now, we're not a very legalistic family. So, drinking isn't bad. But, one of his 2 sons starting a whiskey company was definitely something that he did not see coming. So that was kind of a fun conversation to be like, don't think I'm going to work here for much longer, and it's because I'm starting my own thing, and it's going to be a whiskey company. Just like, that's a lot to take in. So yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess I don't know. I enjoy. My wife and I met in art school at Auburn, so I do take a little bit of pride in being a creative. And I was a musician for a long time, so there was a point in time where I thought that was going to be my full-time gig. I'm glad I didn't chase that because it's an exhausting career. Well, so is honestly this. So I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment. But yeah, I don't know. I do, and I also enjoy like the sales and marketing side of things is I enjoy production because I honestly it's just when you make something, it's just really cool, and I love being a part of that process and working with the staff that makes it. But I spend a lot more time trying to figure out how to tell our story and selling, just selling and marketing it. So that's really more my passion. So it'd probably somewhere it'd be in the sales marketing sphere.
So you mentioned earlier, like Irish style whiskey. Is that your go-to style, or is it bourbon, rye, single malt?
I just think it's interesting that I don't really have a go-to style. I just think it's really interesting that I don't know. I enjoy from a flavor profile standpoint just about everything. I mean, there just isn't a lot of stuff. Now, I mean we're not talking about food. If we're talking about food, like I can't stand olives. So like there are definitely things that I do not like when it comes to food. But when it comes to alcoholic beverages, there's like digestives, variety of liqueurs, and it's I don't nerd out, but I can enjoy a sip or two or five of just about anything, and I just really enjoyed. I had an Irish neighbor for a long time who was, I mean, like straight over from Ireland, and the more he drank, the less I understood him, and he would share the most expensive Irish whiskeys that he had. He was a huge fan of Irish whiskeys, and I just loved them, and so when Tennessee High Malt came around, it was awesome because I'm like, man, like I love the malt and I love the bourbon. Like, so I'm kind of getting the best. I feel like I'm getting to blend two worlds together that I really love. And I will say my palate has adapted to 91 so much that I don't get excited to really drink much else now. I don't keep much else on hand. Occasionally, somebody might gift me a bottle here and there of something, but that's the only kind of reason I'll end up with a bottle of something. It's not because I sought it out. So I keep so many different labels of Chattanooga whiskey around. You cannot possibly go through what I have on my own. So I just love the kind of roasty, toasty. There was a sweet tea note that I always got out of when I was originally tasting the barrels of 91. It was like a sweet tea graham cracker note that I got out of it, and like I just gravitated towards that instantly. And that's one of the reasons that we even chose the 91 barrel, is because I got that sweet tea note out of the 91 barrel, and I was just like, bam, this is it. This is the one. It's not like I sit around and drink Milos ever. I don't, but that's like I don't know if you guys know Milo. That's like a sweet tea thing. Yeah. But you up there in Maryland, you ain't there's nobody's drinking sweet tea.
We got Milos, but yeah, it's not really a thing up here.
Right.
South.
Yeah.
In the South, it's the thing.
Yeah. If you're drinking sweet tea, you might as well be drinking Coca-Cola or whatever, or whatever else. I mean, it's so much sugar in that stuff. But yeah, no, that note is really what popped out of me. That's what I loved about 91 when I first tasted it out of the barrel, and I just don't get that note in a lot of other products. Really, no other products, and that's why I love it.
So before you started all this, what was your favorite or your go-to whiskey before you got into old You started up
You
in
know,
Chattanooga.
growing up, we didn't have alcohol in our house, even though I think my parents literally like had my brother and I and like stopped buying alcohol that day. And then when we both went to college, they started buying alcohol that day. And uh, so I didn't have a lot of alcohol growing up until when I got to college. I remember my first craft beer ever was a Beta out of New Orleans, and it's funny. I've never even said that before. I literally just thought that. I was like, oh my god, the first craft beer I ever had in my hand was an Abita, and I was like, I think I can only drink one of these, and then eventually, I really just kind of started to like enjoying all different types of craft beer. I got into craft beer pretty decently. Like when Terrapin first came out, I was really like I got into what was it called? Was it called like High Five or something? Their original Terrapin High Five. That was their original IPA. So I remember like going after that. Dogfish Head when they first came out, I originally was going after that kind of stuff. So I mean, I did get into, when you're in your 20s, you can get drunk off of IPAs. When you're in your 30s, you can get a buzz off of IPAs. And when you're in your 40s, I'll just no. The answer is no. Like I'm not. I can only stand whiskey and Coors Light and maybe some Pacifico. So I started there, and then maybe when it got to whiskey, I'd have a little bit of Jack here and there. Crown Royal. I remember for whatever reason, I think I bought more Crown Royal than I bought anything else. And then when we started exploring, so when it was 1816 and it was MGP, it wasn't our stuff. So I felt like I was drinking somebody else's stuff, even though it was our company. And so I still bought other stuff. And back then, I would say like if I gravitated towards classic bourbons, I gravitated towards Four Roses single barrels, and I don't know. I liked everything about it, and that became my go-to for a while. Yeah, and then we started making our own stuff, and then I took a bottle of each home, and then I ended up with too much whiskey.
So when you're sitting around doing something like this, or just sitting on the porch or whatever, neat with a cube cocktail, what's your go-to?
If I'm doing a tasting with somebody, I always like to taste the products neat at first, and then if I'm like settling in for like a show or a longer conversation and we're just hanging out and it's not so much about the whiskey and all that stuff, I always drink with ice. So it's pretty much, I'm always like if I don't want a hangover, I'll pour a lot of ice. And if I'm not, and if I want more, if I'm really digging I'm more into the flavors of everything that I'm sipping on, I might go 2 cubes. I like 2 small cubes because I like them to dissolve. Not really like a big, I don't know, big cube thing like gets in the way. You know what I mean? Like I just don't. Like my nose hits it, and I can't. Like I just. It takes forever for it to dissolve. I mean, it's cool, it's fancy, especially when it's done, when it's clear. But I'm not. I would much rather just go to my refrigerator and grab
those half moons or whatever.
Yeah, or just grab 2 cubes and just drop them in. That's my go-to.
Is there an overrated whiskey, bourbon, whatever trend right now that you wish would die? I know which one I have.
An overrated whiskey trend that I wish
or not like it doesn't have to be over, just like a trend right now.
There's a trend right now. Are you thinking of cocktails, or are you thinking of straight? Are you thinking whiskey straight when you say that?
Yeah, straight. So for me, it's when this is on the consumer side. when whether it's stores or groups or whatever go into a distillery to do a single barrel pick, they go for the highest proof. And I've done, I don't know how many single barrels or help pick, I don't know how many single barrels, but the highest proof typically isn't the best one on the table. So when we do it with our group, it's all blind. Like, we don't want to know like, depending on where we're doing it. Like we just did one with New England Barrel Company. We didn't want to know where it was coming from, the age, the anything. We just hand out the pours and we want to try it. Obviously, if we're doing like with you guys, if we know it's going to be like a 91, but we don't know the Toast Pro problem. But we want to do it all blind. But there's people that just, they're proof whores basically, and that's all they want. And yes, we all go through that phase that we want the highest proof, but no, like, give me something a little bit lower that has more flavor to it than just burn my mouth and nostril. That's mine.
I'm not. I'm just not gonna sit there and sip on 125 proof whiskey. It's just not my. I don't have any interest in destroying my esophagus any more than it's already destroyed. But that's funny. I remember my co-founder and I hanging out early on with Larry Ebersole, and we were drinking neat, like at a restaurant or on the porch of a restaurant, and he was like, "Oh, you guys think you're tough guys, huh?" And we're like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Because you got to drink it neat. You got to drink cask strength neat, huh?" And we're like, "I mean, that's just like because it tastes good." And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You're also destroying your palates." He was anti. I remember him, just beating us up and drinking it on the rocks and being like, "You guys are stupid for drinking it straight," which was kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say any trend. If there was a trend, it's inflation is already taking care of this. It's just when us as a supplier, we don't like to see our stuff marked up significantly more than we've designed it to be marked up, right? I mean,
secondary market's also up there for me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's just tough because it doesn't do us any favors, really. I mean, if we design a product to be sold at a specific price point, for us, it's about a great value. So, if we want you to be able to have a single barrel of Chattanooga whiskey at 100, that's cask strength, at $60 a bottle, well, then it should be $60 a bottle. And it's not cool when you walk into a store and you see it at $70 or $80 a bottle. So, I struggle with that a little bit, or secondary especially. But yeah.
So, what does Chattanooga whiskey look like for over the next 5 or 10 years, or anything new coming out that you could talk about, or any juicy stories that you can throw at our way?
Well, we're independently owned, and we have the same group of shareholders since day one, and there's no plans to change that. Which, I'm proud of that we are still independently owned, and right now it's really like getting the word out there. We're big into about half of our sales are in Tennessee. Out of the 30 markets that we're in, we're the largest craft producer and seller of whiskey in the state of Tennessee, and we are second in total volume sales in Tennessee behind Jack Daniel's. And I just want to keep owning. I want to do well in all of our markets, but I just want Chattanooga whiskey to really be every year increasingly regarded as the best craft whiskey in America. That award we earned. And I really can't see past that. You know what I mean? It's almost like playing for the national championship. You got to play it one game at a time. I don't even know what the national championship is. It's just we're just playing one game at a time, and hopefully there's always a market for us. So.
Have you had any discussions about bringing back past experimental batches, like fan favorites, and kind of roll it back out again for the fans type of deal?
Yeah, we don't. It's like the concept doesn't really allow for it. That said, with these infusions and liqueurs that we're doing, there's just some of those things are so good that I'm like, it's just good business if we can find a way to scale some of these things. So it's really challenging, but that's my goal. My goal is to find, like, if I could scale a coffee liqueur, I would, you know, the way we do it anyways, which I think the way we do it is the best. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to find a way to scale some of these liqueurs. If I could scale that peach gin we did, I would in a heartbeat. So we're working on how to scale liqueurs, but it's going to be a minute.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something we'd all like to see. Some of these ones that, you know, people might have missed and now just get to read about and hear about and things like that. It'd be kind of cool to have like a retro series, not even given it's, you know, doesn't even have to be part of the experimental line, just kind of like a retro series or something like that would be kind of cool.
Well, that's kind of what Vault is, but it's like, but Vault is also its own thing. It's tiny, it's a single barrel, it's a 375, and you can only buy it out of the distillery, so it doesn't really help anybody outside of Chattanooga. But
you got to tell your neighbor or whoever it was to grow more of those fig trees.
Plant another tree, yeah.
Another. You got to do a whole orchard in the backyard.
Yeah. I'm gonna dig through. I'm gonna try and find that bottle. I'm gonna pour myself some of that tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, Paul, I'll get you some of that, and then the citrus one. They're just fun to throw in cocktails. You got anything else, Paul?
No, I mean that was pretty much was going to be my last questions. Any further expansion or anything for the future that you can talk about? But I mean, we've pretty much gone over it all, and we're looking forward to everything that's upcoming with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate the time.
So we just had a comment on YouTube. Jason from the Dram Amateur. He's asking for more 375s.
375s of Vault or 375s of 91 and 111. Oh, is he's a retailer?
No, he's a buddy. He's in like northern Georgia. He's not too far from you.
Come on up. We got lots of 375s.
But yeah, I'm sure we could continue here for another 3-4 hours talking about everything and wait for see if he comments back. But yeah, I'm sure we could sit here for another couple hours just talking about it. But want to be respectful of your time. We've gone almost 2 hours now. Is there anything that you want to pitch right now? Let our listeners know where to find you guys and.
Yeah, come visit, man. That's the thing. Come to Chattanooga Whiskey. Come to Chattanooga, hang out. It's an amazing town. Lots to do. Great outdoor scene. And visit the distillery. Go to ChattanoogaWhiskey.com. Check out what we've done. You can buy on seal box in a lot of states, not every state. So you can try that out. And then info at chat or so. Go to in Instagram. Follow us on Instagram at Chat Whiskey. So 2 T's.
All right. So yeah, Paul, if that's it.
Yeah, no, really enjoy you.
Yeah,
taking the time to chat with us. Everything that I sampled tonight has been fantastic, and definitely looking forward to getting my hands on a bottle of that rye. So
yeah,
awesome.
I've been a fan for a while, and it seems to just get better over time, especially with that Solera in there getting older and older sort of deal. Yeah, so definitely excited to see what you guys put out in the future and being able to try the future bottle, because that'll be a fun little thing that we'll have to try to get our hands on and get them on for a show. And then I got a bookmark, so hopefully I could get up there in April. I'll probably take it. I'll probably take that weekend off of work when we get done here, so I could do it, because other than Atlanta, it's an easy drive from here.
Yeah, not bad.
Other than Atlanta, but easy drive. I've been to Chattanooga twice now. It's an awesome city. A lot of old stuff going on. Great food, great drinks. You guys are right there in the heart of it. So hopefully I can make it out there. So yeah, definitely check out Chattanooga Whiskey at those the website and the Instagram. I'll put a little graphic up here later when I actually edit it. Nothing, just throw some graphics up. But yeah, thanks for taking time out, joining us. And then, like I say, if there's any time down the road that you guys are releasing anything new or anything like that, you guys want to hop on and just do like a 5-10 minute little commercial, little spot sort of deal, just you're more than welcome to. We could throw a little spot out there. But yeah, that does it for another episode of Bourbon Beards Belvedere's. Huge shout out to you and your crew over there at Chattanooga Whiskey, putting out great stuff. Don't forget to we say this every time that Adam's on here. I don't know how he does his exits. He has this whole thing where he does his like support your local LEOs and first responders and military, and we always forget to write it down when he's not here with us. But yeah, just support your local LEOs, first responders, military, all that good stuff. Support children and the charities, because especially in this time, this world's getting a little crazy with everything. So definitely support all that. Drink good whiskey. Drink Chattanooga whiskey. Remember to enjoy your spirits and cigars responsibly. And until next time, cheers.